Welcome to Warhammer and Wings, the only podcast where the dice roll hard, the lore runs deep, and the wings come extra spicy. Each episode, we're diving into the mortal realms and the grimdark galaxy of Warhammer, all while arguing over which faction pairs best with buffalo sauce. Spoiler, it ain't the Tau.
Whether you're a veteran general, a law junkie, or you're here for the hot takes and hotter wings, grab your paintbrush and let's get messy, because this hobby, like wings, is best enjoyed with friends and a little fire. I'm Will.
And I'm Wayne, let's get into it.
I would assume we've done some sort of intro at this point.
Oh, we've got the intro recorded, haven't
We have got the intro recorded, let's do it from there. Will, how you doing?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm parched, I'm very warm. It's like a great parch.
What is it, about 30? It must be coming up on 30 degrees. It's not cool, is it?
It is definitely not cool. Unlike Warhammer, which is cool.
Oh, you really said that?
I did definitely say that.
It's definitely uncool, but
that is not true. You didn't pick up on my Great Parch joke either there.
I didn't actually.
It's the Great Parch, the expanse where the current edition of Age of Sigmar is set. It's in the Great Parch.
I didn't know that.
I think you need to start reading some more stuff, my
I
friend.
definitely do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every day's a school day, isn't it?
Hey. So we're a week out from the summer reveal, the Warhammer summer reveal. We've seen the preview of those two gentlemen whose names escapes me. What did you think about the preview, Will?
I mean, as previews go, it's quite exciting. I mean, they're definitely leaning towards the hat vibe, aren't they? I mean, and that really can only mean one thing.
Are they mad?
Maybe.
Like hatters? Because they're lithium?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think of that. But, I mean, all signs are pointing towards Chaos Dwarfs.
Chaos Dwarfs, indeed.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I mean, I don't think... It's possibly Warhammer's worst kept secret at the moment.
Yeah, it seems so. I mean, I think I look on Reddit a lot more than you, but there seems to be quite a lot of traction. There's a lot of buzz around, the idea of them coming back. I think there's a lot of nostalgia for them. I mean, it wasn't something I was interested in first time round, but, being back into the hobby and invested in dwarves of more than one format, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. I mean, the giant hats are there. But I think, joking aside, so how do we think this is going to work in the game? I know did we talk about it in the episode that we put out already? Did we talk about what we thought about this?
I don't think we did, actually.
Okay, well, let's reiterate that for anybody that might be listening to this, all three of you. Hi, Mum. So I reckon that the Chaos Dwarves are going to come back as a I don't think they're going to be chaos as such. I think they'll come back as like disciples of a shut, or is it Asgore? There's some other minor deity.
I want to say Asgore, yeah.
Asgore, yeah. And I think they're going to come back as a destruction faction, and I think there's going to be some synergy there with the Fire Slayers. Yeah, it seems to make sense.
It does, yeah. And I suppose if you read between the lines, you spotted in the Slaves to Darkness battle tome, they weren't explicitly called Chaos Dwarfs when they were being, described sort of, fairly covertly. I think they're not going to come back as Chaos Dwarfs. They'll be called something completely different. And I think, your thoughts on it being a destruction force makes a lot of sense.
I think so. And I was having a chat with one of my other friends about this earlier today, in fact.
You have other friends?
I do have other friends. Just the one other Warhammer friend, Will. Yes, I could do with more. If you want to be my friend and talk about Warhammer, then I am taking applications. There will be an interview process, and that isn't a joke.
It's not.
Yes, I was talking with another friend, and I think another reason why I think it makes sense to go towards a destruction faction is just the destructive nature of dwarfs. So let's get nerdy for a little while here. It's like Chaos Dwarfs, yeah, absolutely fine, whatever. But the whole mining kind of thing, like strip mining things for resources, that is quite destructive. And the guy that I was chatting to was like, well, I would argue that just normal humans in general are more destructive than that. But I think when it's, I get that, and I totally appreciate it. But I think when you're looking at it as almost like a grand narrative, a grand alliance archetype, dwarfs fit better into a destructive force, even though they're aligned more, perhaps like Fire Slayers, which would be like, to use D&D parlance, like chaotic neutral parts. I do think that as a force of nature, they are destructive.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, if you look broader than the Warhammer universe, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that is the case in wider fantasy. If you think in Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth terms, there's that whole thing where the dwarves delved greedily in too deep, and something bad
Absolutely.
happens. You've got all that, and it's that mindset. I think it does lend itself to that. And then if you bring it back to Warhammer, chaos is already quite stacked with how many factions they have.
Totally.
It makes a lot of sense to go in a different way.
hmm Yeah, I think that there is quite a nice parallel as well between like kind of like dwarfs and orcs as well in that faction. I think both of them are kind of. I don't know if I'm going too far into my own beliefs rather than kind of outside of the canon of what we know as Warhammer lore, but it's almost like dwarfs and orcs are almost two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
There is definitely a destructive parallelism where one's gone like total destruction, sacred, and the other one, as you said with that Tolkien quote, it is more about greed and
Yeah.
that side of it, not losing the humanity, obviously, because the dwarfs, but losing some side of themselves to this primordial force that is destruction. Which for me, that is what described the grand narratives overall. Or the Grand Alliances, sorry, not the Grand Narratives.
Yeah, I think two sides of the same coin is a really good point. If you think of orcs, you think, stereotypically they're always making some janky looking machines out, crudely, whereas dwarves do the same thing, but they do it a little more eloquently. They're all about metalwork, and yeah, that's got to deplete the resources from the planet. It means it is destructive.
Sure, I mean, okay, let me posit this question, because this is one that's just, like, popped into my head as we've been talking about this. So, let's park the idea of Chaos Dwarfs, or whatever they're gonna be called, for a second, and thinking of those Grand Alliances and what we just said there, what popped into my head straight away was Maggotkin of Nurgle. So if you abstract the Maggotkin away as a faction and you look at Nurgle as a force, yeah, he automatically gets put into chaos because he's a chaos god, right?
Yeah.
It's entropy. But I would argue that that goes into order, because the order of thing is death and then rebirth. It's the cycle. That is the entire point in Nurgle.
Yeah.
When you look at him in the context of the pantheon of those specific gods, he's the most powerful. His power like wanes and rises depending on what's going on. But the overarching narrative that I get from it is that it is about that entropy of life and death. They will go on, is perpetual
Yeah,
almost.
to cause rebirth.
And I would say that that is literally the antithesis of where he is, and it is like fundamentally order. So I think grouping things into perceived faction grand alliances based off of where we think they stand because of, are they goodies, are they baddies, are they chaos, I think is like an interesting way of looking at it. But I think there is scope to reorder, and perhaps that will start to form part of the progressing storyline.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to, Nurgle is a chaos god, like, we know that, but yeah, like you said, we had a similar conversation when we were in the car on the way back from Warhammer World, where we were talking about this. But if you think of Nurgle, especially in the fantasy sense, rather than, the 40k sense, it's always a sort of happy, jolly, friendly looking thing. We refer to as, Grandpa Nurgle. Yes, there's a lot of disease, decay, but that's what's needed in the circle of life, isn't it, for rebirth?
Exactly.
So I do get what you mean. And it's very easy to, class something chaotic as quote unquote evil, but maybe it's time that Games Workshop are looking at changing that up a bit. I mean, we don't know if they're going to be called Chaos Dwarves, for one thing. So, I don't think that they will, but
Agreed.
I think the lines are getting blurred. I think that's, kind of what you were getting at.
Yeah, absolutely there. I think it's kind of one of the other things that leads into this conversation is when we look at the alliances and the factions that are currently available in AOS, there's quite a diverse mix, but then when you look at the races that make them up, it isn't that diverse. I mean, you've got all of the nets. So we've got like Idonet, Sylvaneth, what are the other ones we've got? What's the what are they called? Lumineth.
Lumineth,
The
yeah,
Lumineth
Lumineth.
Realm Lords. We've got the Idonet Deepkin. We've got the Sylvaneth trees.
What are the
We've
other?
got the Daughters of Cain, who are dwarfy.
But Melaneth. That's where the elf comes in there.
Melaneth, yeah. So we've got like lots of lots of elf, almost like sub-factions.
Too many.
Too many elves. Too many elves. And I think it would be nice to kind of see some shift in what we think of those factions are in terms of archetypes and what we can characterize them as.
Yeah.
And I think now, because it's coming up, is this the 10th anniversary?
Yes.
This is the 10th anniversary. So it feels like now would be a really good time to do that. Before we get too ingrained into like the level of detail and minutia that's kind of almost plaguing the 40k lore at the moment. I know we were talking about that earlier before we started recording, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I think perhaps kind of 10 years in, it's mature enough where we have a setting now and they've started to establish actual lore, like proper deep lore, I suppose is the way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But perhaps when they started with the first and second edition, there was still that hangover from end times.
Yeah.
As we came into it, now might be a good time to take a quick step back, restructure it, and think, right, what are we going to do with this? Are we not going to write ourselves into the same sorts of situations that we have with the 40k universe, while still making it flexible enough that we can enjoy conversations like this before the releases of things coming out?
I think that's a very good point. I think what I'm perceiving this as is it's a bit of a blurring of the lines between what is quote unquote good and what is quote unquote bad, because you ask a different person, they're going to give you a different answer. Like, there's nothing to say that the Fire Slayers are good or bad, because by their very nature they're fairly morally grey, so they could sit within anything depending on the current mood or the contract that they have with whoever they are for their mercenary skills. They've always kind of sat like that. So it makes sense that if they are bringing out another subfaction of dwarves, so that they could be aligned, they could be against. I think it's giving us as the players a bit more choice on what we want to do with them, and it isn't as black and white as saying good guys against bad guys anymore.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you, and I think there's a lot of scope in the dwarf factions we've got at the moment. I mean, obviously we've got the Caradron Overlords that have just got their Baltom. Is it Baltom out yet? It's not, is it?
No, yeah,
It's
but
not
it's
out yet.
coming.
So they're definitely going to be around for 3rd edition. But it does feel like, I mean, I have seen the rumors saying that the new units that they've shown along with that Battletome are from a Warcry warband, and I can kind of get that. Why would you get rid of the units? Even if Warcry is dead as a gaming system, fine, let's utilize them. I'm just not sure the Overlords will survive the edition and make it into the next edition, but I think Fire Slayers, as you've alluded to, in conjunction with another Dwarvish faction where there's a synergy and you can take them, because there's a lot of things that seem to be missing from Fire Slayers. They do have a lot of lore. That's one thing why I do think that we're going to stick around. And elaborating on their deficiencies, so like having cavalry units, having some ranged weapons.
Definitely.
A lot of those things can be made up by classic Chaos Dwarven units.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff in there.
I think what another thing to address is, in the lore, by their very natures, Fire Slayers would not be riding cavalry into battle. It goes against everything that they kind of stand for. It's not what they do. So, they need to bring in something else to almost plug that gap for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where people are going to get excited about this, because when now I've looked back at some of the Chaos Dwarf units from yesteryear, and there are some really cool things in there. There's a lot of war machines, things that I don't recall ever seeing when I was younger. Granted, I wasn't a massive fantasy person.
Yeah,
certainly when I got into it. So I think we talked about that in the previous episodes, but there's a little bit of an age difference between us. I was definitely around at the start of Warhammer, so I got into it in '87, and there was a load of dwarven stuff then that I remember thinking, oh, that's really cool. And there were like some mech bulls, like robotic dreadnought kind of things. Having those in would be really, really good. And I think there's scope for some really interesting characters as well, which is something that the Fire Slayers seem to be sorely missing at the moment.
Yeah, definitely missing. I mean, if you think, they must be one of the only factions that doesn't have a named character. Am I right in thinking that?
That is a really good point. I can't speak for the Ogre Morbite tribes.
That's true.
I don't know anything about them really, other than I think they're going to go.
Well, if you put it in context with the Overlords have 2 named characters. And the Fireslayers don't have 1. I suppose, for argument's sake, you could say that Gotrek is, but at the same time, he isn't. He looks the part, but he isn't a Fireslayer.
Yeah.
So, I think that is something that should be addressed. But whether that is in the form of a new Fireslayer, quote unquote, or if it's in the form of a Chaos Dwarf or a follower of Hashut or whatever they're going to be called, it's going to open that up.
It is, and it'd be really interesting to see if they do go down this route, and I really kind of hope they do, because it sounds like it'd be super interesting from a story and lore perspective. Just seeing, like, are they going to have either the Chaos Dwarfs or whatever they'll be called be more order aligned, or could they do something with the narrative where the Fire Slayers become more neutral, even more neutral, or more chaos aligned, to kind of bring that synergy in line? It'd be really interesting to see that.
Yeah, I think the way, if you think about the physical models as well, I think they don't look either good or bad. They kind of, they look like their own thing. They're little half-naked dudes with spiky hair that's bright orange, and you could say that is a good looking force or an evil looking force. It opens you up to paint them in very different ways, to do conversions in very different ways, because they are not overtly aligned one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I think, this is probably an easy way to change that, depending on what you want to do. I mean, sorry, I've lost my train of thought there. I need to check tea anyway. Is that all right? Can we pause that?
I can pause it.
But yeah, what do you think?
I think realistically, it's whatever's probably going to sell and make money. And for me, I think that getting rid of the dwarfs as a whole would be a bad idea. So I think it's pretty obvious, unless something significant changes, that we're going to see Chaos Dwarfs. And I don't see Fire Slayers disappearing, so merging the two or having some sort of synergy makes sense, because there's just too many elves, there's too many humans, there's, well, orcs. We've got, like, what, 3 flavors of orcs now? Gloomspite, the Warclans, and the Tolkien orcs. What are they called?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
the good-looking orcs.
Yeah.
That's subjective. What they're called? That's really gonna bug me now.
It'll come back to us probably when we're
Like
on a different.
throat slitter, sneaky boy.
When we're
Are they the Oryx? Yeah, it's
Oryx. Yeah,
Oryx.
Oryx.
Yeah. So I think it does mean that they've got to flesh that range out somewhat. So yeah, that's where it's at for me. But we'll see in a week. Hopefully this will come out before that. I think we'll get this out before then, and then we can have another chat and see how wrong we were or right we were.
Either way, it'll be a conversation to be had.
It absolutely will. But there was some other stuff in there that I think is worth touching on. So, not to go too far into AOS, even though that's the system that we do predominantly play and care about, there was some other hats. There were some pirate hats.
I didn't even notice this, to be honest, until you mentioned it. I was solely blinkered by the prospect of Chaos Dwarfs. So you go, run with it.
Well, I reckon the pirate hats, although it could be AOS, I think it's going to be either a kill team or a kill team. I reckon it's going to be a freebooters kill team.
I've just remembered something that I didn't realize. There was a Pharaoh's hat, wasn't there?
There was indeed a Pharaoh's hat.
Are the Tomb Kings coming back?
Well, the old world is
Old world, yeah.
The Tomb Kings are already back.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that shows how much attention I pay to old world.
I was say we literally went to Warhammer World and we looked at the stuff that was out and we talked about it. I'm sure the Tomb Kings, the Tomb Kings are definitely back.
Yeah.
Because there was a big bunny dragon one that just came.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. All right.
Yeah. So maybe the Tomb Kings are coming back up. Maybe there's some new Tomb Kings. Or it could be Zin. It's what they call Thousand Suns.
Oh, Thousand Suns, didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
They've just got their new codex. I know. Was the new Ahriman sculpt? Perhaps?
I don't know. I'm being a bit more out of the loop with 40K.
I don't know when the last Ahriman sculpt came out. perhaps it's a new Magnus sculpt.
I mean, I would like to see a new Magnus sculpt. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the existing one, but it just isn't it's not what I imagined when I think of Magnus personally.
Okay. I mean, I think there's a follow-on conversation here that we need to talk about the various demon primarchs on which we think are good and bad sculpts. So, yeah. Let's put a pin in that.
I definitely want to talk about Fulgrim at some point.
Yeah, I also want to talk about Fulgrim.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll get there.
We'll definitely do that. Yeah, so I reckon freebooters are going to be shown possibly as a kill team.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's not something I'd buy, but I think it'd be something I'd like to see.
And what else did we see? I think there was the Inquisition symbol there.
I did not notice that.
Right at the beginning, I think the first hat that he put on was the Inquisition. And I think, I mean, judging by what's out there and what we already kind of know, I wonder if that is alluding to Grey Knights.
That would make sense because we were talking about that new box that they have seemingly cobbled together, which kind of didn't make a lot of sense to me until I think you said it looks like they're trying to get rid of some of the old stock to make room for some new stuff. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense actually.
Yeah, because we've already seen the preview of them with the new baby carrier Dread Knight thing. Is it Dread Knight? Yeah, the baby carrier is the sisters, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the Dread Knight's in that new box, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, but with the rest of the super old sculpts.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I've never been a Grey Knights player, but I quite like the lore behind them, so I'm excited to see what they do come up with. I mean, I think the scale is going to be an issue because if you look at them now, because they're so old, they look tiny, don't they?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
You know, they got the new character, didn't they? I forget his name.
Castellan Crow,
yeah, and I think that's a very nice sculpt, and that's recent, isn't it? So I think, if we're going off that and the Dread Knight, I'm excited to see what.
Has he gone over the Rubicon?
I believe so. He looks about the right size. I don't know actually. Lore-wise,
I'm not sure. That's
crossed the Rubicon.
I don't know. Can Grey Knights? Because it's a bit of a faux pas, isn't it? It's up there with some of the Dark Angels.
I would assume that they can, but maybe they would choose not to.
Isn't there a thing about Primaris not being psychically there for it?
There's Primaris librarians.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
that is a really good point.
Oh, interesting.
But didn't they make a big thing about this? This goes to show how much we don't know about this subject that we've decided to make a podcast about. Didn't they make a big thing about Primaris not being able to fall to chaos? But then if you've got a Primaris librarian, surely.
I think they did make a big deal about them not being able to fall to chaos because none of them ever had. And I think it was more because they were so, I don't know how to put this, sort of pure and good, for want of a better term. They were just meant to be these. It was always hinted that their genes here directly from the Emperor. And I think it was more a case of, we're holier than thou, essentially.
Okay.
And that none had ever fallen to chaos. Not that they couldn't. I think it was more the case that.
We're talking about now. We're talking about the Grey Knights.
Yeah, Grey Knights.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're talking about the Primaris.
No, I think it was more. Sorry. Yeah, we might have mixed that up a little bit. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, the Grey Knights, it wasn't that they can't fall to chaos. It's that none of them had. I might be wrong.
Nah, they didn't come. Wasn't the Grey Knights made up from Imperial Fists? Wasn't something to do with that? The second founding.
No, the Grey Knights weren't what Nathaniel Garrow started in the heresy with Gavial Loken. They were the Knights Errant they were called, weren't they?
Right.
Yeah. They were made up from, I believe they were made up initially from Marines from the traitor legions that weren't traitor. Like you had Garrow from the Death Guard who stayed loyal. You had Gavial Loken from Sons of Horus that stayed loyal. Oh, I want to say that there was a World Eater, but that sounds a bit too far-fetched, doesn't it? But I think that's right. I might have to go back and reread some Horus Heresy stuff, but I might be wrong, but that's my recollection of it.
Okay, fair.
We're going to get some angry comments, aren't we?
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, but I wonder if they're not going to do what they've done with some of the Horus Heresy models and resculpt some of the firstborns, but slightly upscaled, less derpy, better proportions.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? And that's a way of kind of like elegantly sidestepping nerds. Nerdy.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to be fair, my knowledge of the Grey Knights lore is basically that trilogy that came out probably the best part of 20 years ago. Was it James Swallow?
You're saying words. I genuinely don't know anything about the Grey Knights. You know why? Do you know why? I don't like metallic Space Marines.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's just, I can't. I have painted some Grey Knights, but I think the idea is cool.
Yeah.
And I like the Terminator elements.
Yeah, like the Knights helmets.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about the Grey Knights, really.
I mean, I know you probably won't, but I'd say if you do ever want that Grey Knights omnibus, I can't remember if it was James Swallow, but it was quite a good read, actually. But, you know, it's out there if you want to read it. I do have a copy if you want to borrow it as well.
Mate, it takes me that long to actually read anything.
Yeah, you're an audiobook guy, whereas I'm a book guy. Yeah, I'm a written word.
I can smash through manuals, but narrative stuff takes me forever.
Yeah. I'd say I'll try and I might give it a reread if they do come up with anything new, and I might re-summarize it. Maybe we'll do a Grey Knights episode one day.
Perhaps we will. Perhaps we will.
I quite like that, actually. I would like to learn more about them, to be honest.
If you want to go back and read some of it and then tell me about the Grey Knights, I will quite happily sit here and listen to you talk and wax lyrical about the Grey Knights.
Yeah, see if you can stay awake for that one.
I'm sure I could. I am genuinely interested.
Yeah, but no, going back to your initial point, I completely missed that, with the hat with the Inquisition logo. But what you said, that would make a lot of sense. It might just be a red herring, though. We could be completely wide of the mark.
It could be. So what else have they talked about? It was pretty much all of the major systems, wasn't it? Other than Warcry that was missing from there.
Yeah, but I think it seems that Warcry might be done.
I think that's a safe assumption at this point that Warcry is definitely dead.
I mean, I never played it. I like some of the models. I know you played it quite a lot, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And you.
Oh yeah. I loved first edition of Warcry. I genuinely enjoyed for a little while. It was probably my favorite Games Workshop game system.
Yeah.
I'm saying that perhaps it was just more functional. It was the game that I played the most because the guy that I was playing with, it was his favorite gaming system.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as fun as Kill Team 2021 for me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a shame to see go. I think they dropped the ball somewhat with the second edition of it, with the reactions and stuff like that. It just didn't feel. It felt more fleshed out, but it didn't feel as fun and thematic. I think that was a function of shrinkflation and the terrain really not lending itself to the core mechanics they established in the first game, maybe. So yeah, but you know what? I wouldn't mind playing some Warcry again down the path. It's not likely going to come to the house and take my rule books away, is it? So
that's exactly it. And if you ever did want to play with me, I've got the Warcry box.
I really do want to play with you, Will. It's just that we've both got partners. I don't think they'd go down particularly well.
Let's moving swiftly on. I mean, I do have the Fireslayers Warcry box, which is the Vulcan Flame Seekers.
Yes, with the little mini Madroth.
Kindledroth, yeah. I do need to come up with a name for that little thing.
Herbie, yeah. In homage of the final Fantastic Four film coming out this weekend.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bringing it back to something relevant. I'm going to call it something absolutely daft.
Cecil.
Maybe.
Cedric.
Marion.
Oh no, we have an elf called Cedric.
Who does?
An elf.
Who has an elf called Cedric? We as in...
Well, my household, we have a Christmas elf called... We have two. We have Cedric and Cynthia. They both enjoy Warhammer.
Okay.
They bring Warhammer at Christmas. Mostly for me, not for my child. But now that he is of an age to enjoy Warhammer, perhaps they'll report back to Santa, and Santa will also bring him, Warhammer.
Maybe so. I think you've got a little glimpse into the mind of Wayne when he's had possibly one too many Benadryls. It is the height of summer, and we do both suffer with hay fever. So.
Yes, I am stuffy. Oh, that's what you should call it, stuffy. Stuffy. There you go.
Stuffy the Kindledroth.
Stuffy the Kindledroth.
Yeah, maybe I will. To be fair, he's currently sat in a bath of Dettol as we speak. So I cannot nail a paint job on it. I cannot decide what color I want it. That's the third time he's been stripped. There's a punchline there somewhere.
I'm sure there is.
I'm sure there is. He's literally just about 20 feet away from us in a bath of Dettol, just waiting for another paint job.
Wonderful. we have definitely gone off piece with this one. So
We have, yeah. I mean, if we are going back to that trailer video, I think you looked a little deeper than I did. I got very excited by the prospect of more dwarves in AOS, but yeah, was there anything else that jumped out?
I didn't pick up on anything that
Right.
I was focused on the dwarfs and the AOS
Yeah.
aspect of it. I'm sure there was some stuff in there, perhaps in the background for old world releases or something, but to be honest, I don't care about old world.
Yeah, fair.
No interest. Same with Horus Heresy. Same with Necromunda. More interested in Necromunda than else, and then 40k and Kill Team.
Yeah.
But I do think my other hypothesis that it's a freebooters dwarfs or Kill Team.
Yeah.
Might be on the ball, but we'll see.
Yeah.
It'd be quite fun to see that.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll know in a week or so, won't we?
Yeah, that's it. I'm definitely staying away from any rumors, any spoilers. I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy this
Yeah.
properly.
I share that sentiment. I think it's very easy to get drawn into online conversations and, it ruins the surprise a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're grown men. We can wait just over a week for the actual release. And I think it's a fairly easy time for us to watch. Honestly, it's 7 p.m.
Yeah, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
for once. Thank you, Games Workshop, for making a UK time preview on a reasonable day of the week.
Yep.
Not mental. This is good. It's more like that.
Yeah. But I'm excited. I mean, predominantly to see if and what the Chaos Dwarves look like or whatever they are called more than anything else in that video.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think, we might get a full range, maybe not in the reveal, but, if they give us a glimpse of an army box or, I don't know, maybe a new named character, I'd be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would an episode of Warhammering Wings be without some conversation about wings? Well, it's just me, it's future editing Wayne here, and we completely forgot to talk about the wings in the episode because we got so excited. But before we get back into it, last night we tried some Mr. Naga. It's a very tasty Indian condiment, obviously made with the Naga chilies, as the name might suggest, and it went particularly well with the chicken wings that we had. I have to say, this isn't the hottest version of it I've tried. There is a gold version of it that is absurdly hot, you might say. This was palatable. It's got a creamy taste to it. Sounds really random to talk about hot sauce being creamy, but trust me, it is. And the grease of the wings just cut through that hotness, and it gave it an absolutely tasty, sublime flavour. Completely refreshed us for the next segment. And that's right, we're going to talk about 10 years of Age of Sigmar, thinking about what we might do with each of the factions and how they might relate to Spearhead and what we do with them individually as part of our hobby journey. Right, let's do this. 10 years of happy Age of Sigmar time, Will. I genuinely didn't realize it had been that long. Not that I've been into Age of Sigmar for 10 years.
No, I mean, I definitely can say that I haven't been. I mean, I'm coming on probably about a year since I got, back into a hobby, and I've never looked at Age of Sigmar before the end of last year, really. So I think you're going to have to do the heavy lifting on this one.
I will try and bench it like an animal. Yeah, so let's one of the things that I've done recently is I've gone back and I purchased the second edition rulebook. I already had the third edition. Obviously, we've got the fourth edition, which is the game that we're primarily playing now, along with Spearhead. And I've tried to source the original first edition book, everything I could find, just so that I could get an understanding of it, really.
Yeah.
I like that kind of the side of the hobby, just not collecting all of that stuff.
I think you've got that collector's mentality more than me, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely kind of a gobbler. When I get into something, I really get into it. Much like a bird just tweeting in the background here, clearly that bird is well into AOS. And that's where I am. So yeah, 40k, I absolutely love the lore and such, and I really do enjoy learning about more of that. That universe that it's set in. But AOS, I think, has been not just the gaming system that I've enjoyed, it's been the system where I've actually made friends in the community. So between yourself and Liam, I've ended up with 2 really good friends that I enjoy spending time with doing this. So it's been something that I've invested time and effort in, and I
Yeah.
think that's kind of shown in how deep I've kind of got into understanding the lore. And one of the things that I think is hopefully going to come out of this 10-year anniversary is, as we alluded to when we were talking about the Chaos Dwarfs and stuff, or whatever those are going to be, is this expansion of the universe. So one of the things that I did want to do, and one of the primary reasons I've gone back and picked up not just the rule books, but some of the campaign books. So as I said, I've picked up all of the Dawnbringer Crusade from 3rd edition. So that was the big story arc, for anybody that doesn't know, that led into 4th edition and the Skaven Tide. And the previous one between 2nd edition and 3rd edition was Broken Realms. So I picked up all of those books and I started to read the narrative there. So going from the End Times books, which I've listened to as I've been painting the Slaves Army,
Yeah.
I've kind of started to have a much deeper understanding of each of the factions, some of the main characters that play part in this world that we're kind of setting our campaigns and such in. And that's really been exciting for me, just to see that kind of evolve, certainly really become fleshed out in this edition a bit.
Yeah.
But I thought it'd be really fun to talk about each of the factions individually and just like what we think about that. Because I mean, we've touched quite significantly on dwarfs and I think our mutual disinterest in elves. But there's some other factions in there that I think are really interesting and be useful to talk about and just see what you think. I mean,
Yeah.
so if it wasn't for the Chaos Elves, the other faction that you were thinking about was Nighthaunt, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's still not out the realms of possibility. I'm definitely
It's out of the mortal realm of possibility.
teed you up for that one, didn't I? No, I think I'm definitely going to wait and see what happens with the prospective Chaos Dwarves. If for whatever reason I think they're, butt ugly, or there's just something I don't get on with them for whatever reason, I think Nighthaunt will be what I go for next. I just like the aesthetic of them. I think for me, I love my Fire Slayers, don't get me wrong. They're not going anywhere, but I kind of feel like I need to flip that over and go for something that is overtly and clearly evil. It's ghosts. I mean, you can't really get any different, can you?
Are all ghosts evil?
I mean, I think they are in this sense. Don't make me question it. I think I've got some ideas about how I would paint them differently to, kind of what you see, plastered all over the Games Workshop website and everything. I know you really like that as a standard paint scheme, which is strange because normally you don't like.
No, I think the one that I really liked is it is a GW paint scheme, but it's not the one that they paint all of the armor.
It's the cool blue sort of glowy effect, isn't it?
Kind of, but the one that they use on all of the box art and stuff, it's got like all of the weapons painted like metallics and things. Whereas the one that I specifically liked was the one where everything was done like ethereal, all of the same color, other than like the ghost blankets or whatever they wear on the back.
Cloths, yeah. I think, I lean into that side of it a little bit more. I mean, this came about pretty recently, actually. There is a point to where I'm going this. I went on holiday a couple of weeks ago to Wales, and I was looking in a local bookshop, and I found a book on the folklore of ghosts of Wales that just looked really cool. And I started thinking when I was down there, I could transfer some of this to, to Warhammer for a bit of lore, maybe create some of my own characters. I like to think about things in that sort of deeper aspect, and I like to put my own spin on things. And that's what kind of led me to us thinking about Nighthaunt. So, I had to troll through some of the catalog of what they offer. And I like the fact it's got quite an expansive range of models because, as we all know, Fire Slayers don't, let's face it. So, yeah.
I mean, we've got at least 3 units.
At least 3. But yeah, I think I've got an idea of how I would paint them. I think I would do a sort of green glow effect. Yeah, I think that's what's in my head at the moment. I think I'd definitely do quite a spectral, ethereal style. Yeah, as I was saying, sorry, sort of.
I was just dying.
Yeah, because there was a pause there. Sorry, Wayne was choking on his own saliva. Yeah, I think
That's what Aish about telling you.
very good. A sort of spectral green glow. I was thinking, if you think maybe like the Army of the Dead and Lord of the Rings, that kind of thing, almost try to get an effect of transparency, give it that real ghoulish effect. That's what I'm thinking. But I mean, yeah, it's all just in my head at the moment. But I think that's the way I would go if the Chaos Dwarves don't pan out how I would like them to.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I think the Nighthaunt getting their battle tome very. I think is it the next up?
Yeah, I think it's
up, isn't it?
yeah. When you're looking at the sort of roadmap,
Yeah.
I think it is next on there. Yeah, so it's not a bad time to be thinking about it. I mean, I do like the existing sculpts as they are, but you have built and painted them, and you've told me how flimsy they are.
And I am very breakable.
Yeah, and I'm quite ham-fisted, so maybe it isn't the best time, but yeah, I'm thinking about it.
I think we will get some new sculpts that will rectify that. I think we've already seen that with some of the re-releases of the Death Rattle that they've done for Sword of Light.
Yeah.
So perhaps, but yeah, I think Nighthaunt are absolutely one of the factions that I will end up getting at least a spearhead of, if not a small army. But I seem to be leaning into death, which takes us in to the next one, Flesh Eater Courts. So I already have this new spearhead for this, and I have already painted the entire Flesh Eater Court range previously before they refreshed it.
Yeah.
And I can't say I particularly enjoyed it.
No, I mean, you have told me at length that you haven't enjoyed it. I mean, I haven't tried it, but I can see why. Personally, I'm not a big fan of them sculpts. I don't particularly like zombies, in fiction at all, but you do, so.
Yeah, and the new sculpts that came out, I really, really liked them. So when the new spearhead, I had the opportunity to pick it up. I had some credit at the FLGS Murfield Miniatures. Check it out if you're in West Yorkshire. It's fantastic. Best prices you'll find.
Shout out.
Absolutely. So yeah, I did pick up the new one with the Merberg, like Batty Cavalry.
Batty Cavalry.
Batty Cavalry. I think there is a Arch Revenant or whatever it's called in that. No, wait, that's Doom. I'm getting Doom characters mixed up with Warhammer.
You lost me for a moment there.
Yeah, well, I've been playing Doom the Dark Ages, which I did not enjoying. But anyway, that's by the by. It's an Archvile is also a Doom character. It's something.
I know
the
Boran
region thing. I think that's in there. And we got some of the ghouls. No, I guess they're supposed to be vampire things. I think they're called Crypt Guard now, or that is a variant of them.
Yeah,
they're the newer sculpts. They don't look as derpy as the original ones. But what really did it for me, and I think as we go on, we start to talk more in other episodes. I don't like humor in my hobbies. I am very much. I like my grimdark, and there is no place for it.
You like horror. You like horror.
I like horror. Yeah. I like it. Horrific. Yeah, not humorous, horrific. But that said, I did like the Grand Justice Gorman. So I don't know if you've seen that model or not. He's got like the entrails over his head, and he looks like he's like some type of judge.
Yeah, I do like that one myself, actually. Yeah.
And to me, that's humorous. It's leaning in too far into the humor, but it was like macabre enough that it kind of worked for me.
I think it's camp, but it's macabre at the same time.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Totally. And all of the other characters that were released around the same time as that, I really liked. So I'm kind of thinking perhaps there is another small army that I'm going to end up with there. And certainly, I'm going to end up with another army, yes, because I've already bought some of it. So I've got the Royal Beast Flayers Warcry Warband.
I didn't know you had that.
Yes, I have.
That's cool.
So I've got that. I've got the Start Collecting Spearhead, whatever it's called these days. So, just so we can play the Spearhead.
Yeah.
Got that Warband, and I've got a Abhorrent Gore Warden.
Okay. Yeah.
The Grand Justice Gorman, and I think that's it at the moment.
Okay. So you got a fair.
There's another one. I've got another one as well.
You got a fair few points then.
It's just shy or just over 1,000. But then if I put what's his face in it, Usher on.
Yeah.
Because I really want to paint him.
I can see why.
Yeah. I think he's like 400, 500 points anyway. So
yeah, I think just if we're talking really broadly on this subject, I really like the idea that you can just pick up a spearhead if you need to scratch the itch to do something different.
Absolutely, dude.
They've nailed it. Let's face it. I'm going to start with a Nighthawk spearhead, whether that's the existing one or the new one, and take it from there. Really, I think it's a real good entry into trying something out and seeing if you like how they play, seeing if you like how you paint them.
Totally.
Yeah, I think it's a really
Totally.
cool idea. But yeah, excuse me. I think we touched on this when we did our episode, talking about the Grave Lords, didn't we? That you lean quite heavily into that horror aspect of things, where I think I'm a little bit more open to a little bit of comedy, a little bit more lightheartedness. And I think that's why I like the dwarves, because if you think dwarves in fiction, they can't bumbling idiots a lot of the time, aren't they? But you've gone vampires, zombies, skeletons, and that's your thing, isn't it? So
Yeah, totally. And I think with this 10 years anniversary of Age of Sigmar, they've got some time, like we said in the previous segment, they've got a good opportune time to kind of realign some of those things, either take some of the derpiness out of it or inject some derpiness into it if they want. Perhaps they can move all of the derpiness to the old world, which is what I would like, and keep Age of Sigmar serious and the narrative more serious. But then you've got things like Gloomspite Gits, for example. Previously, I had never even considered this because it was just like, this is too whimsically fantasy for me. I'm not here for it. However, as you just said, I'm thinking now, I could smash out that spearhead, and I reckon I could do something I'd be quite happy with in terms of tone and look, and it's a totally different playstyle to what I've got.
very much so. Is I think it's a very different aesthetic to anything that I've seen you sort of get interested in. I mean, for me, I like the faction terrain. I like that side of it for them more.
That is a cool piece.
It is. It's very different to a lot of the other ones. I think that's what drew me towards it, and they're quite colourful, fantastical. It's very much high fantasy, isn't it? Which I think I lean towards more than you generally, but
I'd say so, yeah.
but I think you could probably do something really cool with them. You could somehow grimdark them, I reckon, if you really wanted to.
I'd give it. That's what I think I'm interested in having a go. If I can get something, and it's having enough scope in a spearhead. It's big enough to kind of like flex on and have some creative freedom to do something that ties together as a whole outside of just one small unit like a warband, but also having a reason to do it. We really enjoy Spearhead.
Yeah,
I think that's fairly evident. We enjoy playing Spearhead, and if I do that or you do one, we've got a body of warbands, Spearhead, whatever we can play as. It doesn't matter who painted them, me or you, but it's there's a reason for doing it, as well as having that creative freedom. And I think one of the things that we've kind of established as well, like we've no, not established, that's the wrong word, but what we've ended up as gaming buddies, we've kind of got a understanding of like, why do we have a consistent basing scheme across them all? We just totally fell into that idea. It's not something we've planned on doing, but again, it brings together that cohesive whole of a world almost, and having all of those various factions that want to tie in a visual way into that world kind of limits that scope of being able to do anything, but really lets you have a strong creative canvas where you're operating inside of that framework, and I think that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, it definitely is. I completely agree. And I think to put a little context behind that, if we take the example that I'm currently working on, so as you said, we've got that shared basing theme. So basically, I've gone with my Fire Slayers with a Shaiish theme to them. So my sort of headcanon behind them is these Fire Slayers are sort of marooned in Shaiish. They've kind of been, they're not in their ancestral home anymore. They've been there for some time, so they've got an almost deathly pallor to the skin rather than the sort of rosy cheeks you normally see. They're a bit more grey, pallid, pale. And I've given them purple hair and beards, one, because I really love the colour purple. I like painting purple, but it ties it in with that sort of Shaiish theme because you are playing predominantly, death forces. So that lends itself quite nicely to that. But there's all sorts of reasons why they've been drinking from, the well. I can't remember what it's called. There's some sort of well in Shaiish.
Shaiish Nadir, is it?
I don't know. There's a well, and I think it's just called the Well of Shaiish. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember. There's something like that. I should probably do a bit more research into this. But my brain says, well, they've been drinking from this well. That's why the hair's turned purple, or they've dyed the beards purple or whatever. But it's little things like this. You could see it as limiting your scope for creativity, but I think it gives me more of a drive to think a little bit more outside the box rather than painting orange-haired little dudes that everybody has. I've very rarely see them with this sort of almost necrotic coloured flesh, but with purple hair and
Yeah.
less gold, bit more silver, that kind of thing. So
I'm liking it. I'm liking the idea of what we've ended up kind of falling into.
yeah,
So on that train of thought then, and we're talking about what else to get. I don't think this faction is going to be around for long. I think they're going, but I have them. I have the spearhead, and I've got a couple of other bits and pieces now. Sons of Behemoth,
Yeah.
Bahamut, them,
Hammer,
the giants.
the giants will
Tiamat, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got that spearhead that's built, ready to be painted, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing as you just said there. So I'm going to paint them in line with kind of what I've done with my death army.
Yeah.
Or my death armies. So I'm going to have these pretty much following the same template that you've established for your fire slayers, because it's a brilliant idea, isn't it? I'm going to make them kind of necrotic, almost like giant ghouls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like not so much nurgly decaying.
Yeah, it's
So
not going
it's
for that
still alive.
Frankenstein sort
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
I mean, perhaps if I could do, but nah.
I mean, you could, do some stitches on a neck or something like that, couldn't you? If
You might do on
wanted
one
to.
of them.
Yeah.
I might do on one of them, but
Like around the hands and around the
Yeah.
ankles and around the neck. That could be an interesting
that's it.
conversion.
That's it. I could go there with it. One of the things that I have kind of like leaned into with how I've built them though is thinking along the lines of pretty much the same narrative path that you've gone down there, and having them so rather than just being like dumb lumbering giants, they're a little bit thinner. They're going to be painted very gaunt, and I'm going a whole man trapper, or they just need more food,
Yeah.
and that's driven them a little bit more frenzied, a little bit insane.
Yeah.
So I want to go more animalistic and bestial, and I want that to be reflected in the paint job. So yeah, they'll look pallid, but they will look like frenzied, almost like a cross between what you expect flesh eater courts and something more
Yeah.
brutish like orcs to look like.
So gaunt, emaciated.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I get that.
It's quite difficult to do with the sculpts because they've got like pot bellies, because that's
Yeah.
lean into that fantasy trope of like derpy giants a
Yeah.
little bit too much. But I've got them; they're there to build, so we might as well get some fun out of them this edition. But I do think that they're one of the factions that are going to be written out into 5th edition and possibly resigned back to the realms of Old World.
Yeah, I mean, it's never really been a faction that I've gravitated towards anyway. What puts me off is the price. It's so expensive I understand that they're huge models, but I think it's just got a hard entry point. I think you've got to be a fan of AOS or have that collector's mentality to want to start with them. And you've got to think, if you're a parent to a kid that wants to get into Warhammer and you look at the price tag on that, it's going to turn a lot of parents off, and probably, a lot of people in our boat as well. It's a lot of money to drop on what is effectively 3 models, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely is. I mean, I think the entire range is just 4 models.
Is it 4, not 3?
Well, there's the Gargants, isn't there?
Yes.
Which is one kit that
Yeah.
will make a couple of different versions of it.
Yeah.
And then there's the Mega Gargant kit,
That's right.
which is split into 2 different kits, although the only difference is 1 sprue. So you've got King Broad, I want to say, which is the
Yeah.
standard Mega Gargant kit with an additional sprue.
Yeah.
Or you can, for the same price, get the standard Mega Gargant, which doesn't have the additional sprue in. But it's the same base that makes all 4 or 5 variants, I think.
Yeah.
There's the named character, which is Broad.
Yeah.
Then you've got a Gatebreaker, Man Crusher, and I don't know, like a Kraken Gargant thing.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 or 5, but like each one of those is over 100 quid.
Yeah.
If you want to smash those. So yeah, I have 3D printed proxies, which are beautiful sculpts. And that's what originally kind of brought me to this faction. It was just that I wanted to paint a giant, so I printed one out thinking, well, it's just going to be a showpiece. And then I was like, well, again, FLGS, I had some credit. I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll get the spearhead since we're playing the spearhead, and it gives us more spearhead utility to try it. So why not?
Yeah. Actually, you've totted this up. I know we've got it written down somewhere about between the two of us how many spearheads we have, but we're well on our way to, having
Got 10 at least
there's
now.
10 at least. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're doing okay there, aren't we? So yeah, it's nice to have that variety. So if we ever did want to chop and change, play with something different, because I'll be honest, we had this conversation last time we played that, you know, I think I played enough Spearhead with my Fire Slayers for now. You know, I don't particularly think I'm learning anything new about the rules with them. You might think I'm being daft or I might be off the mark, but I'm ready to paint my overlords and try them out because although the dwarves, they're complete opposite.
Totally different.
Yeah,
Totally different.
they fly and shoot, whereas the other ones do not. So I'm excited for that.
But I'd actually brought my Slaves to Darkness. Is it called Bloodwind Legion?
You tell me, I don't know.
Possibly Bloodwind Legion. It's definitely not the Dark Earths because I have no interest in that subfaction.
Yeah.
At all. So yeah, I brought that to play today. So and again, that's a totally different archetype.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be a fun one to try.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see because there's similar mechanics with them to what I have with the Fire Slayers. I've got the runes that I can activate turning, on the different turns for the different boons or whatever, and your Slaves to Darkness have got something quite similar, haven't they? So
yes, yeah.
I think that's one of the most exciting parts of that Spearhead for me for the Fire Slayers. So it'd be interesting to see what you think with your version of that.
Yeah, at first what put me off it was the additional bookkeeping of having to keep track of that for each of the units. Because I don't know how the Fire Slayer one works really, but for this you roll, I think you get the boons per unit depending on actions in game, like if they take out something or...
Yeah, I think although I said it's similar, it is fairly different. I think it's easier to activate with the Fire Slayers because it's always active. I mean, you can't miss a roll essentially. Is if you roll 1 to 4, it rolls with the standard attributes, and if you get a 5 or a 6, it's the enhanced attributes. Where I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you can miss them with a bad roll on yours, right?
Yes, I think
if you roll a
1, I think 1 is no boon, and then it's each of the 4 Chaos God boons.
Yeah.
And then 6, I think, is you get to choose one of them.
Okay.
I think I may be wrong about that.
Similar but different.
Yeah, well, it's a different way of doing the same thing, but it's certainly flavorful, isn't it? I mean,
I think
it makes sense.
the boons are fairly similar, apart from I want to say the Nurgle one on your side does it grant you some sort of healing boon?
No, I think it's 1 to wound rolls.
Yeah,
or -1 to wound rolls.
that's correct. But yeah, I mean, for my dudes, it's I can add 1 to attack rolls. I can move faster, things like that. So it's a bit different. Apologies if you can hear that. That's my dog playing with a squeaky toy in the background.
You can't beat that. So what other factions have we got? He is really playing with that squeaky toy. He is loving life. It's definitely leaning into the Games Workshop theme of releasing random pets. It seems like everything has got a dog in it now.
I mean, I'm there for it. I'm a dog person.
You are a dog person. I am a cat person. There have been a couple of cats. There was an Underworld band, wasn't there? It was Nurgle
with a cat.
Yeah. She had like a plague-ridden cat,
and like a mangy cat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying.
Yeah. What are they called?
I don't know. It's new.
It's like a maggot kind of Nurgle war band, not Warcry. What's the other one? Underworlds.
I've not seen that.
Yeah. I've got 2 of that.
To be honest,
fully painted.
Underworlds was never a game that I played. I mean, the only real connection I have to Underworlds is that I had to really, really fight to find the Fire Slayers Underworld box just because I thought the sculpts in that were cool. And I know the rules are in Legends, but you're happy for me to play with them, so.
Totally.
Yeah.
Guys, it's gonna really annoy me until I find it. I'll show you later. But she's got a cat on her base, and I want to say there's some cats in Curse City.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got the Curse City box, but I'm yet to build it. So.
Yeah, I think some of the markers are
markers of cats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like Witcher cats, but cats.
I tell you what, I'm looking forward to getting that Curse City stuff built. I think that's gonna scratch an itch for me to, with the death side of things, because I'm playing with the good guys, and that's a bit different. But I mean, that's going to be another episode in itself, Curse City, isn't it? Because I know you love it, don't you?
I really enjoy it. Yeah. I really enjoy it. I think it's wonderful. I love my entire basing theme has been based around Ulfenkarn, so
Yeah, it has. But if we're going back to the sort of other spearheads that we were talking about, you have another one in the box, don't you? You've got the Sylvaneth,
do indeed.
right?
Sylvaneth.
Yeah, which I'm surprised you haven't tackled yet. I thought when you showed me that you got them, I thought you'd be straight on that because you've got a pretty cool idea of what you want to do with them, haven't you?
Yeah, there'll be death and grimdark, but
Yeah. There's a common theme.
I'm almost done with the Slaves to Darkness range. I'm literally, if I stand on my tiptoes, I can see that army being finished now. So
Yeah, that's insane.
I'm maybe a month or so away, depending on how. If I really knuckled down, I could have it finished within a month now.
I mean, you're doing it the right way. You wanted to finish one project before starting another one, which is completely what I do not do.
I have to do this, but this is 100% the last entire range that I'm painting in one go. Because it's just, I lose motivation. I think that this is where I'm painting spearheads.
Yeah, they're hobby burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am genuinely excited to paint the Sylvaneth. Because I'm not a massive fan of trees. I'm not a massive fan of elves. But I think having dead trees.
I mean, what you are a massive fan of is Tolkien, and they're quite Tolkien-esque if you think about
Yeah,
the
they are,
ends.
yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe there's something in the back of your mind there.
Definitely there. But I don't know. I like the idea of having vampire trees.
Yeah.
And dead vampire trees at that are ashen and wasting away. Plus, I really want to paint the Whispering Woods or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I have an absolute wodge of the faction terrain that I bought just for funsies years ago. Well, as I was in Warcry, because I was like, well, I can use all this as Warcry terrain.
Yeah.
So I've got their faction terrain anyway, so I could, that's going to be painted up to match it.
Yeah.
And the Shaiish boards, and I think I've got the Herdstone as well from the now defunct Beast of Chaos. No, I don't say I think I've got. I definitely have that.
You know you've got it.
But I want to do something like it, make it kind of like a vampiric altar with somebody tethered to it, being drained of blood over like a.
That is cool. Yeah. You've not mentioned that to me yet, but
It's been on the cards for a while as
it's
well.
very you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I mean, I just love hearing the ideas of how you're going to do things slightly different to how they appear on the box, let's say.
Well, I can tell you the trees, the tree, whatever it's called, the Whispering Woods or the Whimsical Woods of Wild Woods, or the Awakened Wild Woods, I believe is what they're actually called. Sorry, I'm getting closer and further away from the mic. Will be painted to match the color scheme of my undead vampire tree, but they will have a wodge of humans hanging from the trees upside down with the blood draining from them. Like into like leaves. In my head, I've got like these leaves collecting the blood from the slit throats of the people hanging from the trees.
And what are you gonna sculpt them yourself? Have you found a 3D print?
I'll probably find some 3D prints of it. That kind of thing. I mean, I'll make the leaves myself.
I will just say, if you don't have a friend with a 3D printer, it's good to have one. Wayne is the friend with the 3D printer, so he has printed me off some pretty cool stuff. So,
not sculpted you the cool stuff though, unfortunately. But yeah, printing's there. You were thinking of Sylvaneth though as well, weren't you? We right fair crossover in what we were thinking army wise.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there is a lot. I think when I started, had you not, been vampire forward, I probably would have started with vampires. To be honest, I mean, I liked the vampire counts in passing. Way back when there were still vampire counts, but I never bought any. I like vampires in fiction. So yeah, that was going to be an idea, but then you're the vampire guy. So I mean, it wouldn't stop me doing it. If I got them, I'd paint them differently. I'm more into this. I like the skeletons. I like the idea, but as I said, I think Curse City's going to scratch that itch for me. But it's someday down the line I might do it. But that's got a pretty fully fleshed out range, hasn't it? So
yeah, it's a huge range.
Yeah, there's been a lot of effort put into them. So yeah, I mean, one day it'll probably happen, but for now, I'm happy for that to be on the back burner. But yeah, I was thinking of Sylvaneth as well. I mean, I didn't mind that you got there first, to be honest. I think I would do something very different to what you would do.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do. You see a lot of people online doing sort of cherry blossoms and things like that, which was, I mean, I quite like my Japanese stuff. So, that was something that I was thinking of, but then I've seen it done quite a lot. I think if I was going to do it, I'd try something different, but I haven't decided on what. So it's pretty good job that I didn't buy them because I'm still undecided on how I would do them. So
That's it. That's it. And there's always that. It's good that we're not getting caught up in the FOMO too much.
yeah. Yeah, I think I'm trying to be less impulsive and more realistic about this. This is why I'm holding off on the Nighthawk for now because 6 months ago, if I had this idea in my head, I probably just would have gone and bought it and made a start and then, regretted it. But yeah, I suppose it's part and parcel of being an adult and having to pay bills that you can't just rush out and buy everything you want.
Yeah, it sucks. It
Yeah.
does suck. But
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think me and you, we're not on the breadline or anything. I'm not saying we're not mega rich, but we do okay. We've got enough money to afford what is an expensive hobby. But I'm just trying to rein myself in a bit and try not to bite off more than I can chew when I've still got, I'm looking to my right, I've got a magma droth in a box that's yet to be built. I've got tons of stuff that isn't painted yet, so kind of don't want to rush into anything while I've still got a lot on the go because I think for me that would be I'd have too many projects on the go at once and I'd probably get that hobby burnout that you're getting from doing the full range. So yeah, trying to be sensible for a change.
yeah. And I can't recommend it enough. Even though it's fun to talk about the projects we've got coming up, it's like I had 3 full like entire, not just armies, like entire ranges of miniatures that I painted back to back every single model in that range. And it's fun, but it's also not fun when you've got all of these creative ideas that you want to realize and you realize that you don't actually have time to do them all because there's only a finite amount of models you can paint in your life.
Yeah.
And you've got other more important things to think about. So yeah, you do right. I'm almost certain though one faction that I won't be painting is Lumineth Realm Lords because I don't care.
Yeah.
And I hope they get rid of those. I want them to do something with the elves. I want them to normalize them into one faction. I think the only ones that do kind of stand out, I think, are the Sylvaneth because they're more interesting. What else can go?
Yeah, the wet elves.
What else?
That is what we refer to them as our salty elves. I've started
Salty
thinking,
elves.
but what I like about them is I like the animals that they're sort of riding. I like the big turtles. I like
Yeah,
the
they're
sharks, but it's not enough for me to want to get involved with them. To be honest, I don't particularly gravitate towards the lore for them. I don't. Yeah, it's not for me. High elves. They're not called high elves. What are they called?
Lumina.
Lumina, sorry, you did just mention that. Again, they're a bit vanilla for me. I can see why people like them, but I think it seems a bit generic high fantasy for me.
Yeah, and I think again using the point of the segment of the 10-year anniversary, I think they could do something. I think there's enough scope in the lore from what they've got to kind of do something now. I would have liked to see them perhaps go back to a little bit more high fantasy with them in terms of like a rank and flank sort of archetype there.
Oh, that sounds like old world.
It does, but I think there is that, and I might be wrong about this because I don't know the archetypes of all the armies and how they play, but it does feel like there's that sort of massed units army missing from the game. Arguably, Cities of Sigmar does fill that niche, but again, I don't know enough about Cities of Sigmar, and I don't really care.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard and what I've read, I should probably say about Cities of Sigmar is, especially with the Spearhead, I'm not sure about the new one. Is it out yet, the new one? I think it is. But I know that the previous one, when you look at the win rates on that previous one, it was not a very, tactically sound Spearhead, apparently. That's not why we play the game. I did look at Cities of Sigmar. I looked at it probably for the wrong reason. I was rereading A Song of Ice and Fire at the time, and I thought a lot of some of the Cities of Sigmar stuff lent into that aesthetic of George R.R. Martin's kind of soldiers. And I was thinking, I could paint them in maybe Baratheon colours or something. I thought, step back from that. It's completely different. It's Warhammer. Let's stick to it as it is. So,
yeah, I mean, I could talk at length about my feelings about that range. There's one or two models in there that I don't mind, but it's not for me.
I like dogs.
Yeah, you definitely do. You love dogs.
I do.
Yeah. There are lock dogs in that army already.
Yeah. I like the cannons. I like that aspect of it, which is
Okay.
another reason why I am sincerely hoping that Chaos Dwarves will have that kind of artillery side of things.
They have to, dude.
Well, so I mean, I like the carriage on overlords. They've got that on ships, haven't they?
I mean, law wise, the Chaos Dwarfs are making the weapons for some of Cities of Sigmar and some of the Chaos Legions as well. So
Makes sense.
it would
doesn't
make sense for them to have that.
Yeah. As far as Cities of Sigmar go, again, Cursed City will scratch that itch for me because, there's all the Ulfenkan guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not explaining that very well, but you know exactly what
Yeah,
I
I
mean.
know. I mean, you've got like Canis and Toll, and they have a dog in that box as well.
Yeah, they do.
There is a dog
Yeah.
there for you, so
Yeah,
that
that's
keeps
it.
you happy.
Yeah, but again, I don't think I need to go into getting a spearhead for them because if I want to play as sort of Cities of Sigmar characters, Cursed City's there for that. So
Yeah, totally.
scratches that itch. Yeah, I mean, apart from that, I can't say that I'm in a rush to get Daughters of Cain either. If we're talking about elves,
No. The Daughters of Cain are an interesting one. I think they're one that we're going to see big sweeping changes to.
I hope they redo some of the sculpts.
I think they will redo some of the sculpts.
I don't know how they've nailed it with the crone model, which is a beautiful sculpt to me,
It really is.
and the rest of them just look like they're in a different range. And the new ones that came out a few weeks ago, or a few months ago maybe, I don't know what they were thinking.
I think they were left over from I don't know.
Left over from 1997 by the look of it.
It does feel that way, doesn't it? But when you look at the Crone model, she looks more in line, definitely in terms of proportion and style, to the Cities of Sigmar stuff compared to, as you say, those new ones that came out. But from reading the Dawnbringers campaign now, it feels like they're going to do something with the faction, and perhaps we'll see a split in the faction,
Yeah,
which may lead to more elves.
yeah,
I think
but the law seems to be going in that direction, doesn't it? But yeah, if we see a split, that'd be good. I mean, they put quite a lot of emphasis on the sea elves as well, haven't they, of late? It surprised me.
I mean, the new battle terms just come out. I mean, I don't think they're going anywhere, annoyingly. But what I would like to see, and this is just my headcanon, devolve the Ideneth into something that's not elvish looking, like they have with the Sylvaneth.
Make it more.
Make them mermen. Just make them mermen.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Bit more fishy.
Then I would be, absolutely.
Do you know what? Make them look a bit more savage. Yeah, a bit more like I never even thought of that.
Yeah, just make them mermen.
Yeah, make them their own thing.
And you could do it law-wise because you've already got him. Teclis wants rid of them, doesn't he? Because he was, like they were his bastard children kind of thing. Just like have him completely abandon them, bring in some type of aquatic chaos god or primordial force. We've kind of already got there anyway, law-wise.
Evil Neptune.
Evil Neptune.
You could have sirens. Yeah, you could open that up.
Mate.
Yeah,
you've got so much you could do.
Yeah.
So much you could do that'd be way more interesting than generic wet elves. It just looks like Atlanteans from that atrocious Aquaman movie. But that's just my opinion. But some of the creatures genuinely do look really good, and the creatures look out of place with the actual sculpts of the wet elves.
They do. It looks very much like one person with a very specific vision has sculpted the right sort of animals, and somebody else with a very different vision has sculpted the elves themselves.
I'm best for that idea.
That's what I look at it like. But I think let's move on from elves. Neither of us are a fan of elves, as you could probably gather.
Yeah. So let's talk about greenskins. Let's talk about orcs.
Again, I've never been drawn towards orcs. From being a kid, I never liked the look of them. I think I keep coming back to Tolkien. I know that's my basis from fantasy. Tolkien's orcs are orcs to me. Greenskins they don't do it for me.
Yeah. It's the I know it's more of a 40k thing, having the Cockney football punt kind of.
Yeah.
Go on, boys.
Yeah. So was that your attempt at a Cockney accent?
I'm atrocious accent.
We are both from West Yorkshire, so forgive us for that.
But yeah, they are. They don't do anything for me, and especially what they call are they? Iron boys,
Yeah, they're the
Iron Jaws,
heavily armored guys.
Yeah, the Iron Jaws yellow ones do nothing for me. I am actually painting one.
Yeah,
I'm painting two of them. In fact, I'm painting two. Yeah, for Liam asked me to.
Yes,
his Warhammer commemorative one in style that he's done is
Yeah.
And then he gave me free reign to paint one how I think I would paint. Like, yeah. So that's gonna be real. I'll be doing a video over that on the YouTube channel. But yeah,
Shameless plug for your YouTube channel.
absolutely. Fodgersolos. But that'll be an interesting one to do because I don't actually like that look of them.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they've introduced the Aurochs because they look more scary. They look more like what I think.
Yeah, they look.
Should
I think they look more bestial. Yeah.
And less humorous, which is great for me. I'd like to. Do you know what I would like to see? In fact, I don't know if they do have them. There's a pot grot. The pot grots aren't there in Auric Warclans?
But I believe you. I don't know.
The Ras. What I was thinking was having evil-looking goblins, because the GW standard goblins, like the Gloom Spike Gears, don't look like, in my head, right? Goblins have got like little sharp, needly teeth, and they run around and they're like little vindictive, just little,
yeah.
And they swarm on you, and they're ripping chunks of your skin off and like chowing down on it, and they're just like these really vicious little, just. But that's not what I get from the goblins that are.
No, they look
standard.
They look too nice.
Ones.
They look. They almost look friendly. I get what you mean. I suppose they're there for a bit of comic relief. Let's not move past that. But yeah, they don't look menacing. They don't look like they're going to hurt you. I'm with you there.
I think this. See what I know. We talked about the spearhead earlier, and this is we've got like night goblins kind of in the backdrop of thing from the old world, and perhaps we've got some night goblin kind of vibes depending on what happens with the. I know we're putting a lot on the chaos dwarfs here, but potentially. Because they've got grots and hobgoblins, haven't they?
Yeah,
like little minions. But they've also got, if I remember rightly, I may be wrong about this. I'm pretty certain that chaos dwarfs in old world and perhaps even in first edition AOS could take gargants.
Yeah, I think you might be. I mean, you might. Yeah, it seems likely. I don't really have a frame of reference to it, but there's something in the back of my mind that says you are right, but I can't tell you why. But it would make a lot of sense.
But I've digressed. But here I'm getting excited about this. So there's a very real chance that I'll end up getting the Gloom Spike Spearhead. Right? Imagine really vindictive, little looking goblins that are off of their faces on mushrooms. And that's what they do because perhaps they're just nice. They're nice little goblins. They're not overly bothered. They're just, gobbing around doing whatever little gobbos do, so like, I mean, a little thing. And then one of them said, you want some shrooms? And they're just like ripping people's faces off because that's what they're thinking that's happening. They're just like,
I mean, you might
like that.
Might have a lawsuit from the creator of Gremlins on your hands, but
that in my head.
But I know
pretty much what I'm saying, just like completely like manic. And I look feral. Yeah, feral.
I'm with you.
Like, yeah. Like goblins. That is a goblin. It's that it takes mischievous to a almost like horrific level where they're just like, I don't know, like ripping out people's entrails and then hanging them on the lips as mustaches kind of thing. It's terrifying and it's mental, but it's all because of like the off of the faces on like some hardcore shroom.
So you could then have a more serious mix with comedy there, which is you can get behind.
That's how I would probably do it. But it's I think I'm not sure if I could use the Games Workshop sculpts for it or whether I'd have to proxy something because it's a very specific aesthetic that's in my head, I think, and it's all about that wry grin of just like rows of needle sharp teeth. I find that like that's like really scary to me. I don't know about it, but
I'm with you. No, I think if they did go in that direction, I think that'd be really cool. I mean, personally, I can't see them doing it. I hope they do, but I think your idea is cool. And like you said, if you ever did want to proxy something like that, I'm behind you doing that.
See, what I've gone a proper tangent on this one, but what I really like the idea is, so there's the
I'm going to bring us back in a minute because I've got a point.
Do it, but like, don't let me get, you don't let me lose that. I need to get out there. So, we've got like the trolls, I don't know what they're called, like the cave trolls, the big derpy blue ones.
Yeah.
Right. They're in the heads of the goblins. And, we know the goblins are kind of somewhat, or the orcoids.
Yeah.
Are somewhat psychic and they just manifest stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they're manifesting when they're off the face on shrooms. these trolls, and that's what giving it. So I painted
okay.
those looking all like ethereal looking, like they were like literal manifestations of their mental highs.
That's an interesting point, though.
Crazy goblins. I really that idea I'm there for. That might
Yeah.
I'm liking that. I could get behind that. It's funny enough, though. It's kind of cool.
But
But
almost horrific enough at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and nobody else. That seems different enough that I could have
I've
take on it.
Yeah.
Which I quite like that. So that's where I would go with the orc goblins.
I like that. Well, if we're going to bring it back to the 10-year anniversary sort of celebrations and everything like that, do you think we'll get some sort of 10-year commemorative miniature, something special edition like that?
It'll be a Stormcast, won't it?
You
It's got to be a Stormcast. Yeah, it's got to be. Which I don't hate. I like kind of what they've done with the new Reclusian Chamber. I say new for this edition's Reclusian Chamber, making a bit more grim, a bit more dark.
Yeah, I think that's what's selling me on them a bit more. I think at first I kind of just thought, oh, look, these are just AOS's version of the Ultramarines. That's how I looked at them. The sort of the poster boys. Look at these. We're so good at everything. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people doing some really subtle conversions online, just head swaps, things like that. I sent you a picture of a paint scheme I saw somebody do on Reddit, where they were painted in a grey, almost stone-like armor with like some green mossy bits on them. I thought, just little changes, that sold me on them a bit more. And the way you've painted yours, before I had my spearhead painted and I was playing with your Stormcast spearhead, the way you've done them, very dark, they looked a bit more menacing, a little less goody for me. And, I think it's things like that that are kind of turning me around on them. Lore-wise, I'm not as up on them as you are, but I've seen them in the Gotrek novels, and there's some interesting sort of twists and turns there with them. So yeah, I think one day that might be a spearhead I do, but I think I would need to think of my own headcanon on why I've painted them a specific way and really give them my own sort of backstory to kind of, maybe give them a bit of a darker edge.
That's exactly the route that I went down, because I wasn't interested in Stormcast at all, or in fact Skaven. So of the two, Stormcast were the ones that I kind of went down the route of being a little bit more interesting. I don't think I've actually told you the canon of my Stormcast of the Reclusian Chamber.
No, I don't think you have actually.
So part of the overarching narrative of this edition was this whole tagline of Sigmar lied into the Reclusian Chamber, right? And for me, one of the things that I didn't like about Stormcast, as you said, is that the Ultramarines of AOS, aren't they? They're the good guys. So we all know the lore of the Stormcaster. They're continually reforged. They were the greatest warriors, and they've become like the army of this man god Sigmar.
Yeah.
And as they've become progressively reforged, my guys, the Reclusian Chamber, the ones that they're on the edge. Each time they get reforged, I don't know if you noticed on the models, it's a really subtle conversion that each of my Stormcast has, is that the mouth is filed away, so there's no way for the teeth. All of the elements are on. So yeah, they've just become a function of purpose. They've just become like these souls that are teetering on the edge of humanity. Perhaps one more reforging and they're completely gone. They don't even have a voice. All they're living for is to fight. And unlike Space Marines that are indoctrinated from inception, almost from birth of becoming a Space Marine, they want to be that Space Marine. They want that future. There's no greater honor than fighting and dying for the Emperor.
Yeah.
These guys started off. They died and then they were brought back, and it was agony. And then progressively, it's more agonizing every single time they reforge in this, and they can't even scream now.
I like that.
I didn't notice that actually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I reconciled that with my want to make something that's shiny and overtly bright, grim darker, but still having that they're the good guys. But this is not a fate that you want.
Yeah, the only idea I really had surrounded them. It does have a tie-in with dwarves. Shocker, I know. But I think it's criminal that Felix Jaeger has not made it to the mortal realms, as he's not confirmed as being dead. There's so much room in the lore that he could be a Stormcast Eternal, right? So I think that might be something I do eventually. I think Gotrek and Felix need to be reunited in some form. You haven't read this novel, have you? But I can't remember if is it Oathbreaker, Realm, something. I don't know. There's one where Gotrek makes it to the Mortal Realms, and he's in one of the cities of Sigmar. I think it's Hamhall, Aksha. And he's drunk one night, and he's going around, and he's trying to rip the helmets off the Stormcasters, trying to find Felix because he's convinced that Felix is one of them, and it's quite sad at the same time. It's funny, but it's sad that he's trying to find his pal, and I think I kind of want to run with that and make something of that, and make him put him in that position, make him a Stormcast, and have them reunited. But that's just me and my you know I grew up reading them novels as a kid, Gotrek and Felix, and that still holds a big place in my hobby heart, shall we say. So I want to see them boys reunited. The grey Skaven dude, what's he called? Thanquol. He made it through. He's in the books. He's there in the Mortal Realms. Who's to say Felix can't be there?
You should absolutely do this. I can see from the look on your face, you've invested. This seems like the way forward.
Yeah,
Like, make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Gotrek ready to go in the box, haven't I? I'm not doing any conversion on him. He's getting painted as he should be. I've been looking at 3D sculpts that people have done on, Etsy and on eBay of Felix, just to put him in the scale of AOS, just for a little passion project, not to play with, just just to have a little painting project there. But I think if I thought about this, there's easily you could do something Stormcast with that, and if Games Workshop don't do it, I'm going to do it for myself. Yeah, but maybe that'll be a 10-year commemorative model. I very much doubt it, but a man can dream.
You never know.
Yeah,
you never know. Right, last two. I think these are the last two.
Yeah.
Seraphon.
Yeah, Seraphon. I was toying with the idea. I think more for the novelty aspect rather than anything, because they are just completely different. They're dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are cool, but yeah, I don't know. There's something about them I can't.
I think it's how they've been paid. I agree, and I think it's. I do want to get them.
Yeah,
I think I do want to get them. I think I could. I think for me, it's the colors. I don't like how anybody. I have seen one or two painted in a more animalistic, blooded kind of way, but I think it's that bright color that kind of fuses lizards and Aztecs together.
Yeah.
I would like to attempt them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, dude.
What would you do colors wise? Would you go for like a sort of actual dinosaur aesthetic or no?
No, I think I would go something like black, gray, and red.
That could work. Yeah.
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 And I'd keep that triumvirate of colors, and I would vary the dominant color depending on what the warrior was. So I'd probably start off. I think do iguanas start off green and then they get the orange color as they get older?
Oh, I don't know.
So I think I'd start perhaps black.
I mean, you can borrow my bearded dragon if you want him for inspiration.
I mean,
he is orange and red, but not black. He is grumpy. So
grumpy. Well, I can. That the inspiration's there. Yeah. So I think that's the kind of thing I'd do with those. But I can see me. That's probably the next spearhead after the ones that I've got. Yeah, I reckon so.
I'm interested to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Again, there's not really enough to grab me there. Again, I don't really know a lot about the lore. I've only really
space lizards.
Yes, it's lizards
from space.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but it's not for me. I don't think.
Yeah.
I was never really like the dinosaur kid. I like lizards. Don't get me wrong. I have a lizard in the living room, don't I? But yeah, I don't know. There's not enough there to grab me. I think I've seen some really cool paint jobs that people have done online, and I can get behind that, and I think it lends itself nicely to being creative in that sense. But I don't know what I would do with them, so kind of just don't really think about it. But your idea sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think one of the other elements that I think I struggle with specifically with Seraphon is seeing them in any context other than in like a jungle setting, and I think that's part of what it is. It leans
Kyra, yeah.
It leans so heavily.
They seem out of
the location. They seem out of place.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think that's kind of, I would definitely go what I'm saying is our idea of a unified basing theme for everything pushes me into a direction that I wouldn't necessarily normally go. So taking them out of that into something like you would Dark Ash and makes me think that lizards would adapt to that color scheme more. And it,
Okay. Yeah.
so I'd perhaps even do, I mean, one of the more heavily converted spearheads I think I'll do, so I'll swap out all of the weapons to be more appropriate for Shaiish rather than for Gyron.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, because I mean, you think of them and you think very sort of leafy, verdant green, that kind of thing. And yeah, if we were keeping on the theme of shades, that just doesn't work, does it?
No, which I quite like, but perhaps even purples.
Yeah,
Grey, black,
actually,
purple,
yeah.
and then red, and then something there. But yeah, that's a good one.
I can see that working actually. Now you said it, yeah. Now, I think you sold me on them actually.
Yeah.
Purple. I mean, I like anything purple.
Yeah,
but
that does seem to sell out to you.
yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to think on that actually, but I'm going to leave it for you. Wow, yeah. I can picture it in my mind's eye actually.
One that I can't picture in my mind. Then
Go on.
this is it. This is the last one, I think.
Well, that's the last one.
Ossiarch Bone Reapers.
Yeah, not for me. I mean, I could be quite vocal on the fact that I just hate the sculpts personally. I can't even put my finger on why. I just, yeah, they look out of scale, out of proportion.
They look like they've been in the gym. They look like skeletons that they've hit the gym.
Yeah.
They're just weird. They look, they're not for me. I do like Kakaradot, the centerpiece model. He looks totally different to all of the other ones, and his like minions that are in that kit look a little bit leaner, a little bit more in scale, less derpy. I don't get them. I don't think they fit in. I wouldn't be.
Were they put in there for Tomb Kings fans?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they do kind of.
What's the law behind them? And the law, are they the tax collectors?
Yeah,
yeah.
They get the bone tithe for Nagash.
That's it. Yeah,
something. They are death, aren't they? Yeah, the death.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what the credit control of the mortal realms. It's,
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a strange one for me. I mean, I can see why people would like them, but for me, I like the look of the other skeletons that you can get in AOS. If you're looking at these, go back to Curse City, the ones in the Curse City box. I think they're the best skeleton sculpts I've ever seen Warhammer do, and yeah, I look at the other dudes, I'm just like, it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I think that I look at the Bone Reapers and I think Tim Burton, and then I look at I look at the Soul Blight stuff, the new stuff, not the god awful grave guard from yesteryear. But all I can see is Harryhausen, like Jason the Argonaut skeleton.
Yeah.
They are like,
I see that.
other than the armor, it's just like these are beautiful. And then, not that there's anything wrong with the Bone Reapers aesthetic, the Tim Burton-esque aesthetic, but for me, it doesn't work. And I think it's part of that conjoined narrative. And I hope, to wrap this all up, that what Games Workshop do in this 10-year anniversary is take the time to step back and have a conversation with themselves and decide what the overall design language is going to be for that universe, because I think a lot of it was a throw over from old Warhammer Fantasy. It became Age of Sigmar. Now Age of Sigmar is 10 years old. It's a big boy. It's its own thing. Let's decide what that looks like.
It's kind of age, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's go forward into this next 10 years with a stronger vision of what it is.
I think, I don't think I could have put that any better. I think you've got a very clear definition now because Old World exists as its own separate entity. So now, for me, I think now is the time to really separate them out and decide, you can keep the Old World stuff in Old World and you can move whatever needs to be moved to Old World, and you can further develop AOS to be a bit more grim, to be a bit more mature, maybe, see which way they want to go. I mean, I'm excited for it, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Who knows? Maybe we'll record another podcast 10 years from now and we have a very different discussion. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be fantastic if we do that. I would be very old at that point.
Well, I'll be getting there.
No, you would literally be the age that I am now.
Well, I mean, you said it. I didn't want to tell you that, but knife in your heart.
So damp. Okay, shall we leave it there and we can reconvene in a week or so's time
Fucking right, fam.
after the announcement. I think we're a week out from the announcement. So if we get this out now and you guys listen to it, then we can come back and we can say if we were right or wrong.
Yeah.
And it may even be that during that announcement, that 10-year anniversary, they give us a roadmap of what might happen. So we can literally revisit
Think of
this.
that. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, let's see what happens in a week's time, but I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. It's been fantastic chatting, Will.
As always.
And that's it for this episode of Warhammer and Wings, where the lore is deep and the wings are hot.
If you like the episode, hit that like button, drop us a comment with your spiciest take, and don't forget to follow us on socials for all things minis and marinades.
Until next time.